The idea of making a prequel series to Game of Thrones was a bit divisive. I mean, there's a lot of people that did not like that final season of Game of Thrones. So, I thought it was pretty bold, honestly, for HBO to go back to the well and try to do this, try to pull this off. So, was it a mistake? Let's talk about House of the Dragon, episode 1. House of the Dragon takes place 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones and tells the beginning of the end of House Targaryen, the events leading up to and uncovering the Targaryen War of Succession, known as the Dance of the Dragons. The series stars Paddy Considine, Millie Alcock, Matt Smith, and Reese Evans. We'll start this off with my spoiler-free thoughts. I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot that's going to be given away in episode 1, but I figured we'd start off completely spoiler-free, and then I'll talk about the few spoilers at the end. So don't worry, I'll give you plenty of warning. When it came to the original release of Game of Thrones, I would usually wait until the end of the season and just binge the whole thing. And I guess because of that, because I was just getting like chunks here and there, of the story, it basically made me a casual fan. So while there was a lot of people that did not like that final season of Game of Thrones, I was sort of fine with it, even though I can definitely admit that there were some things that could have been done a little better, maybe some character stories that could have been tied up a little better, but overall, I was still pretty happy with it. So I guess you could say I was just moderately interested in House of the Dragon. Thought it was a bold move, but I didn't think that I would be like super sucked in or anything like that. And I've got to say, I think they pulled it off. I think immediately, like within minutes, I was ready for more. I didn't want it to end. It was really, really, really well done. And I think the story, the most important thing, is they've gotten back to what makes Game of Thrones really, really interesting to me, and that's the constant pursuit of power between all the different characters. One character gets the upper hand, and then another character does. So to hear that that's the way they're going, I'm pretty excited about this. First off, let's talk about the actors. You've got Paddy Considine as King Viserys. I think he's a great choice. It's been really fun to watch his career sort of blossom ever since his really comedic role in Hot Fuzz, but he's been doing some great stuff. So I'm interested to see where they take his character. And then you've got Reese Evans as the King's Hand. I've always liked him, but he's always been in sort of smaller roles. So it's going to be interesting to see what his character does. And then we come to Matt Smith. Oh my God. This guy, he brings an intensity that I'm really, really interested to see how they're going to play his character, because he's sort of a loose cannon. So I feel right now like it could go either way. It was also cool to see Graham McTavish, and I'm not exactly sure what role he's playing, what character he is. He only shows up a couple of times, but he feels like he's Prince Rhaenyra's almost like personal bodyguard. Either way, I'm interested to see him. He played Dwalin in the original Hobbit movies. And even though I'm not a big fan of those movies, I thought his character was pretty cool. And so it's going to be interesting. And then Millie Alcock as Princess Rhaenyra. What a cool name. Just a cool character name. But yeah, she does some interesting stuff here. And it's going to be fun to see how things play out here. Now, this is HBO. So the production values are going to be just top tier. Right, the set design is awesome, the costume design is awesome, and the CG is pretty good for the most part. There are a couple of shots where I was kind of like, okay, that could have been done a little better, but I mean, we get all the brutality of Game of Thrones. We get some really, really cool shots, even though I will say that it seemed a bit dark in some scenes. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Or it may just be my aging TV, but I found a few of the scenes pretty dark to watch. I'll say this, I think Rings of Power has a lot to live up to. I mean, HBO, when it comes to period television, there's nobody better, in my opinion. So it's gonna be fun to watch these two, and sort of play head to head. I mean, of course, we got Rings of Power coming up in a couple of weeks, so that's gonna be some fun stuff. But I'll say this: House of the Dragon is, I'm just so surprised and kind of amazed at how easy I was just completely sucked into the world. And I can't wait to see more. I think if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, and maybe I don't even think it matters if you were upset by that final season. I think this is everything that Game of Thrones fans love, and it promises to tell a really interesting story. So yeah, I think it's worth watching. And now it's spoiler time. Like I said, there's not a bunch of huge spoilers to be, really to give anything away for the first season. The first episode is really just kind of setting the stage, so I don't think that it's too crazy. But yeah, just in case if you don't want to know anything going in, now's your time to click away. Now that I've had some time to think about the episode, it's actually kind of weird for me that I didn't see the death of Queen Emma coming. I mean, it's basically telegraphed, I mean, it really is. But the birthing scene was was a lot more intense than I expected it to be. And I think, especially if you watch the post credits, sort of like, the filmmakers talking about, the episode and all that, they're talking about how, Queen Emma says that, the birthing bed is their battlefield. And it was kind of interesting to have that play off of the jousting matches going on at the same time. And for some reason, it was like, wow, it was just really, really intense. And it was kind of cool to see, I guess, this female point of view, done really, really well. I think one of the big surprises, especially if you've seen Matt Smith's career, he loves playing these sort of delicious villains. So it was cool to see that his character has levels. He's not just a terrible monster. He actually seems to love Princess Rhaenyra. So it's really going to be fun to see how they interact, going forward. And I mean, especially, with I guess the funeral of Queen Emma and the prince that died, seeing him react to Rhaenyra and basically saying, look, I'm the only one that's got his head on his shoulders right now. Rhaenyra, you got to do something. And it was just a really, really affecting scene, especially, like I said, not knowing these characters for very long. I was so invested. Now, this is the only thing that's really kind of like for the future, I guess. Emma Darcy is going to play the adult, or the older Princess Rhaenyra. So I'm interested to see how this time jump is going to happen. Is it going to be like in the next episode? I mean, are we done with Millie Alcock or what? I don't really know yet. But she's the one that's sort of narrating at the beginning. So she is definitely credited in this episode, but we don't see her yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out. I'm definitely on board. I'm going to be watching this every week. So, House of the Dragon, episode 1. Have you watched it? What did you think of it? Let me know down below, and we'll talk about anything. I mean, pretty much anything Game of Thrones related. Let's talk about it, because I'm kind of interested to see the reception that, especially people that were sort of turned off by that last season. It's like, is this bringing you back in, or are you kind of like, let's talk about it. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.